What is up, nerd friends? Welcome back to the Nerd Bench. We're going to take a look at the XR10 Pro G2S and some of my personal settings. We've been getting back to the Peacock Pit and doing a lot more 4x4 short course running, and Hobbywing has had this new combo. It's a XR10 with the 3660 or 3652 4-pole motors, and they work great. So, been popular for like 4x4 truggies and a lot of the 4x4 short course folks that are still out there keeping hope alive with some 4x4 short course fun. I just have the battery pack plugged into a speed control. I have it unplugged from a receiver, and I'm going to take the OTA and plug it into the programming port that is in the top. Take the little rubber doohickey out, save that for later. When you go to plug these in, the edge is marked as well as the edge of the case, so you or the plug rather, so you can see the direction that it goes in. It's easy. The brass goes towards the outside. Plug that guy in there. You plug that guy in there, turn on the speed control, light comes on, and then you tap this little icon on your app. It brings up this screen. I have my OTA renamed as Charlie, and it'll connect and be able to get in and show you some stuff. Now, with a brand new speed control like this, I like to do a firmware update first and foremost, just to make sure. And if we go in here, you see the speed control is currently on 503. There's a 505 available, so we're going to run that update first and foremost. It's telling you to make sure that nothing happens while you're doing this update. If it disconnects or whatever's going on while you're doing this update, you can break your speed control. So you don't want that to happen. You hit OK, and then you let it do its thing. It takes a couple minutes. We'll be back. And it tells you that it's complete. You hit OK, and it disconnects. So after you do a firmware update, consider your speed control kind of wiped out. So whatever setting changes you had in there, you're probably going to have to go back in and redo all of that. In addition to that, you definitely want to recalibrate it to your radio. Still to this day, I've been doing this job for forever, and I run into folks who don't calibrate or even think to calibrate the speed control to the radio, and that can be very problematic in everything working correctly. So don't forget to calibrate after you do stuff like that. So we're going to get back in here, going to connect, and we'll look at the settings, and I'll show you what I do to any of the speed controls that I run as my kind of first step. A lot of the places that we run at are not like official tracks, and we're totally allowed to have reverse, and in fact, you kind of have to have reverse for some of these places because there's not track marshals. So the first thing I do is I go in and I turn on the forward, reverse, and brake. Forward and reverse only is like rock crawl mode. You don't want that. I leave my reverse power turned down. I leave the cutoff voltage the same. I leave both of my motor and speed control thermal protections on. I don't have any high voltage servo, so I leave that alone. Remote off is if you want to be able to turn your car off by just holding the brakes. I leave that disabled because we use a lot of reverse, so if you're holding your brakes, it'll go in reverse, and that's not good. Sensor mode, you have two options here, full censored or the hybrid mode. If you have not Hobbywing motors or maybe some damage to a sensor wire and you can't use the sensors, you can use the hybrid mode, and that allows it to operate basically in sensorless. Motor rotation controls the forward direction of your motor. So if your vehicle has a reverse drivetrain for whatever reason, that's the setting you use to make it go the other direction. And then the phase AC swap, some guys like to put their wires all in a neat row like this, and that doesn't always line up. So you're actually able to use that setting to be able to wire the motor incorrectly. So you have to switch that, then wire it, and then you're good to go. Throttle rate control, I leave it 30. It's the most linear. Throttle rate control is a lot like your punch. So the lower that is, the more kind of time delay there is when you squeeze the throttle. So I like to have that nice and linear. There are throttle curves in here that you can set up and customize if that's something you like to do. I'm not a big fan of that. Like I said, I like linear throttle, so I want to leave that on linear. Neutral range is your deadband. If this is your throttle and this is your brake, the neutral range is this space in here. So if you got a real shaky neutral or your throttle pot on your radio, the trigger's got like inconsistent neutral, you can increase that setting to help deal with that. Initial throttle force is how hard it starts the motor. So some of the motors, they're the like spec turn motors and stuff like that, they don't want to take off very well. So you get like this kind of dead spot in the front of the trigger where it's giving it throttle but nothing's happening. Initial throttle force allows you to fine tune that so that you can get it to move where you want to. I like to turn this all the way down to 1. Again, it's another one of these just kind of like more linear situations, and then I can adjust it up if I notice that I'm noticing that dead spot. The coast is a run-on for the motor, so if you have a real slippery track condition, you let off the throttle, it'll want to keep running the motor so it doesn't want to spin out. Mostly for dirt oval stuff or real slick tracks. And then finally, some of the settings I actually get into a lot. PWM drive frequency is the duty cycle of the speed control operating the motor. Your drive frequency kind of controls how smooth it is. I like to turn this all the way up to 32 because it's the most smooth. And what that does is it gives you a very kind of like, I don't want to say gentle, that's not the right word for it, but very linear and smooth response up front, and then you'll kind of feed into it and it puts the coals into it. So I like to start out high and then work my way back down. If I don't have enough punch feel, I can lower that to give myself more punch feel, so to speak, or more response. Softening value and softening range work together. They're like a current limiter or a way to take away a little bit of power through a given RPM range. So the value is how much power you're going to take away, and then the range is how far off of neutral before it stops doing that. So the primary focus here is like if you get on the throttle and it's real loose and twitchy, softening allows you to back that down so you can get into the throttle. Motor still gets power, just not all of it. And then once you get past a certain trigger or a spot in your throttle, wherever that range is set to, it kind of turns the current limiter off. I mean, it doesn't kind of turn the current limiter off. It turns the current limiter off, and then you get back to normal. So softening is very helpful for like modified racing, and it used to be something people used in Blinky, but Roar changed the Blinky rules, so now softening is no longer allowed to be used for Blinky class racing. It's kind of like timing stuff. Drag brake force. This is not brakes for drag racing, and neither is drag brake rate. Those are not things for drag racing. Drag brake is brakes at neutral, so when you let off the throttle, it automatically applies some brakes. It allows you to have brakes on all the time. For most of the stuff that I do, we want to have control over the brake all the time. And there's plenty of times where we let off the throttle rapidly at high speed and we want no brake feel coming in there. So I always leave my drag brake at 0 for the most part. Your drag brake rate controls how quickly it applies the drag brake. So if you are using some drag brake, this can tone down how quickly it comes in. So let's say you want it to come on real fast, you turn that up. If you like it to come down real slow, you'll turn that down. Max brake force, I always turn this down at least a little bit. Very rarely do you need full brakes. I go down to like 85, sometimes 75%. We're going to do this one at 85. And then you can run your brakes on your radio at 100 and still not really worry about anything and use that to fine control a little bit. Brake rate control is like the throttle rate control. All the way up is going to be most linear, so that's where I leave it. And again, the brake frequency is like the drive frequency, and I like to turn this all the way up so that it's max smooth, so to speak. And then you have brake control. There are some tuning options here. I just leave it at traditional because it's normal, and I've never really messed enough with the other two to notice a huge difference on the conditions that we run in. You get down here to timing, and timing is electronic timing advance. The speed control can overdrive or over rev or fire the motor in kind of the wrong order to give it more RPM. And for some forms of racing, like Blinky class racing, that's not legal. Some forms of racing, you just don't need any more power. I know that sounds ridiculous. When can you not use more power? But in some situations, that is the case. But boost timing allows you to give it an amount of degrees, and it allows you to control it through an RPM range. And it also has an auto mode, which is pretty cool because the speed control uses a little man inside to sense the loads and apply the timing accordingly. So if you don't want to worry about what your RPMs are, you can set that to auto and it'll apply your boost there. And then you also have turbo timing. So boost and then turbo. Turbo timing comes on after full throttle. So that's what the delay is. How long after full throttle before it starts to kick it in. And then you have the turbo increase rate. That's how quickly it feeds that in. So in this example, if I were to put, let's say 12 degrees of timing, it would apply that at 1.1 per second type of deal. So I would get all 12 of my degrees in the first tenth of a second that it was on, and that would be after the turbo delay of 0.2 seconds. Turbo decrease rate is the same thing as turbo increase rate, but it's how fast it takes the timing away. And the reason that's adjustable is sometimes if you're in the trigger and you let off for a sweeper to go to coast, if it takes all the timing away right away or not fast enough, when you go to pick up the throttle, you're going to get a funny sensation. So you're allowed to tune the decrease rate as well. And when you get down to the bottom here, it gives you a summary of the data record, When you get down here, it gets you a summary of the data record that the speed control saves inside of itself. Temperature of the speed control, temperature of the motor if you're using a Hobbywing motor, minimum battery voltage, as well as the RPM. So you get a little bit of information that you can look at real quickly and easily. You can get up here and rename your profile too, which is always fun. I like to put people's names in their speed controls, so you can change your names. And then once you do make all those changes, if I were to just exit right now, all of that would be for nothing. You have to hit save. So hit save, and it's going to tell you not to mess anything up again. It saves, and then you're back in there. You can make more changes now if you want to, but to disconnect, you can tap this little guy up, the little disconnector guy, and then you want to disconnect. Yep, I do. And that's all there is to it. It disconnects and then you can back out. You can back out and then disconnect out over here too. So that's just a quick look at some of my personal settings, the stuff that we've been running in our 4x4 short courses. This is the 3660 4300 kV. We're running these in low Cs with like a 12 or a 13 tooth pinion gear on them. So it has been a real good time at the Peacock Pick, and we're just getting some more systems ready to get out there. And I don't think that I've had a minute to talk about Speak and Show settings in a while, so I figured it was a good time for a refresher. If you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us directly, northamerica@hobbywing.com. We are always happy to answer your emails. We also do a podcast. It is called RC Stuff, powered by Hobbywing. You can find it on your favorite podcast service. We give away a free Hobbywing combo each and every episode. There go new episodes on the first and third Friday of the month. And as always, folks, thanks for tuning in. Another fresh episode of The Charlie Show right here on the Hobbywing official YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. We'll see y'all next time.